Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you might be joining from. I am HR Funk, and this is my firing line for Tuesday, April 2nd, 2025. This is the online firearm show that is completely driven by you, your questions, and your comments. Otherwise, I'd be outside right now looking around my property, trying to see if any of the thunderstorms that went through earlier today did any damage. I don't think so. In any case, this is the Guncon edition, or maybe I should say the Guncon announce can't say it, Guncon announcement edition of the show. And I'll get to that a little bit later. But first, I want to say thanks to everyone who's already here. I know Jeff Tim was the first one in the room, and he has since been joined by Craig Benz, Katie Cowboy, and there appears to be a couple more people that have not chimed in yet. In any case, I'm going to kick the show off this evening with a question, or maybe I should say a request. And maybe this is going to be a dual request because it has to do with the video that I had that went live yesterday, which, if you saw it, was a review of a Olight flashlight. And specifically, by the way, anyone from YouTube watching this, this is just a flashlight, only a flashlight. It lights up dark places. In the UK, it's called a torch. It's nothing dangerous. Anyway, it was a review on this Olight Javelot Turbo, which I think is a pretty cool flashlight. Olight got a hold of me, I don't know, a couple, 3 weeks ago and asked me if I wanted to review this thing. And I said, sure. And they sent it to me, and I've used it a couple of times. If you saw the video, you know that I've had it out in the evening when I've been walking PFC Chewy. By the way, Chewy has been promoted to PFC, really only due to time and service and time and grade, because it was certainly not due to any more meritorious activity on his part. And it's a tenuous promotion because at any point he could get reduced in rank back down to private. In any case, I've used this when I've been out walking him in the evening. And I think it's a pretty great flashlight, which is essentially what I said in the video review. It's rechargeable. It comes in a great kit. So since that time, I've had a couple of people chime in to that video and call me a shill and say I'm shilling for Olight and one thing and another. So if anybody out there could please define the word shill, I would appreciate that. Because when I think about it, if that means anybody who does any sort of a review, promotion, talk, speech, whatever, for anything, then that person's a shill. So basically anybody that appears on any TV, radio, whatever, any personality, you know, that promotes this product or that product or whatever is a shill. If that's not what it means, then apparently it's only certain people who do that. So who or what are those certain people? So that's the first question I'm going to throw out to the group at the beginning of the video or the show. The second thing is, does anybody know why it is Olight has such hate amongst the general population out there? The one guy in his comment said something like, you know, if you want to keep your credibility, you need to stop shilling for Olight because they're not very highly regarded in the flashlight community. By the way, I think it's hilarious that there is a flashlight community. Anyway, need to stop. They're not very highly thought of in the flashlight community, and you need to think about your credibility. For anyone who's watched my videos for any amount of time, I hope you agree with me when I say that I am not concerned about my credibility. Whenever I present anything in video form, I give all of you my honest opinion. I've said that since day one. If I like something, I say I like it. And I like this flashlight. I think it's a pretty cool flashlight. If I don't like something like the Smith & Wesson FPC, I tell you in the video, I don't like it. So I don't know. This whole thing is just, I've been thinking about it during the day. I thought I would open up the show with this particular topic, and I know some of you have chimed in. We've got some more people. We're up to 26 people. I apologize for not mentioning you when you chimed in. So we've got Art Grote is here, Katie Cowboy, who's concerned about his supper. Apparently it's going to be a salad. Justin is here and saying finally seeing a live stream as it airs, not after the fact. Thanks for your great comment. You're welcome, Justin. Thank you very much. By the way, I'm taking guests on the show this afternoon, so if you want to appear as a guest, you can send me an email at hrfunksmail@gmail.com that you see scrolling across the bottom of the screen there. And if you send me an email, I can send you a link and you can join the show. We can do a split screen, and have a conversation back and forth. If you join, though, just remember, if you activate your camera, potentially everyone in the world can see you. So keep that in mind, depending upon how you're dressed, what you're doing, et cetera, et cetera. If not, you can keep your camera deactivated and join just by voice, and we can have a conversation that way. So I have got my iPad fired up here, and if anyone sends me a email, I should know about it hopefully very quickly. Anyway, back over to the chat feed here. Jeeps Cafe is here. Thanks for joining, JC. Did you get to keep that light? Yes, I get to keep this light. I do not have to send it back to Olight. That's why it's going in my Jeep. Dan the Wolfman, how you doing, Dan? Thanks for joining. Let's see. Jeff Tim, shill, someone who promotes anything for money and does not provide a disclaimer if it applies. I did not get paid a dime to produce the video review of this flashlight. So I get to keep the flashlight. So I guess that's something for my time, but I did not get paid anything for it. Katie Cowboy, have you ever seen a Such gun review? He reviewed the Smith & Wesson E-Series, except, I think they're supposed to say, except they gave him the gun. So he gets a free gun, and a review is supposed to be objective. I have had a few free firearms or firearms that I've gotten to keep during the time I've had my channel. Not many. Now, keep in mind, it costs money to produce these videos, and sometimes if you get something like that and you can turn around and sell it, especially when YouTube decides to demonetize the video, that can be revenue to come back in and help to continue the channel. So I don't know. I can't be too critical of that. I suspect, and I'm not talking about Such specifically, but I suspect that there are people out there who produce reviews, and I could probably throw out a few names, who do get some remuneration for whatever their review might be, as well as keeping a firearm. And I always tell companies specifically that and I'll get these offers every now and then where, we'll give you a commission and, we can pay you X amount and blah, 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 blah. And I've always said, no, I don't want a commission. I don't want anything like that. If you will give a discount code for my viewers, I will pass that on because that's something I can do for all of you. But I don't get paid for any of this. So for whatever that's worth. Now, as I said, I think there are some people out there who actually do. Skip Boyer, welcome aboard. I'm not sure if that's supposed to be noun. Nounin? Maybe that's supposed to be known. Accomplice of a hawker, gambler, or swindler. Ah, cool. So there is actually a definition for it. Who acts as an enthusiastic customer to entice or encourage others. I used to be a shill in a Reno gambling club. All right. Well, thank you. I did not realize there was actually a dictionary definition of that word. Justin, a lot of it is Chinesium hate, which is weird since Holosun is Chinese and extremely popular. And frankly, they're good products for them. I agree. I've got several not Holosun, but several Olight products sitting around me here. I've got one of the flashlights here that I use in my office all the time. I've got various weapon-mounted lights. So I don't get it. And it's something that I've noticed for a long time. And I'll hear people say, whatever. They'll make comments in videos sometimes about, Olight and, don't buy an Olight or whatever. And I'm like, why? I own quite a few and they're great products. Jeff Tim had one unplanned disassemble in my pocket. Well, that's too bad. Now, one thing about them too, is they have a lifetime warranty. So if you ever have one that falls apart, malfunctions, breaks, whatever, get a hold of Olight and they'll replace it. I've had a relationship with the company for a while. Some of you know that I was in a group that was of the first to receive the O sight when it was announced. And I've tested those products thoroughly, and I found them to be very good optics as far as that goes. So I don't know. I just don't get it. Flashlight slobbery is weird. Rex, I have no idea how to pronounce that. A lot of the time. Rex, a lot of the time. Okay. O-lights had a propensity for running hot, catching fire, spontaneously combusting. I heard something about that, but as I recall, it's been quite a number of years. I think if we look at a lot of early products from some companies, we would see things that didn't work all that well. So I think we can assume at this point they have progressed past that. Marv Turner just stumbling in, no notification again. I did a short video probably 2.5 hours ago or so and posted it to try to get it out to everyone to make you aware that I was going to be doing this. There was no Wednesday premiere video today. Part of the reason was because I have just been swamped here lately, and it seems like since I got back from the gathering, it's been one thing after another. And I've got a great video in store for Saturday, but it took a ton of editing and a lot of work. And with all the time that I invested in that one, which as of the last time I looked, it was demonetized by YouTube. I am doing the appeal thing right now. We'll see what happens with that. But anyway, with the time that I invested in that one, I did not have time to get something ready for today. And with the flashlight video that I let go yesterday, and that was only a 9-minute video, so it just didn't seem like it was appropriate for a premiere video. But in any regard, oh, by the way, that one was demonetized too. So a flashlight video was demonetized. Anyway, I decided to do the live stream this evening since there was no Wednesday video today. Marv Turner has several low lights that he uses frequently. Jeff Tim, folks, what about the guys who work for sales organizations like Fin, Feather, and Fur? I don't know. I can't comment about them. What's his name? The Firearms guy now is doing some sort of promotions for them. One who poses as a satisfied customer, to dupe bystanders. So far, I'm not seeing any of these that apply to me. Skip Boyer, I've had end cap switches break on my i3Ts. They're cheap, so I buy another one. Well, like I said, they're under the lifetime warranty. They'll replace them for you. John G, welcome aboard. Thanks for joining. Sean Zimmerman, it was only when wet. The guy that had it blow up in his mouth was because he was slobbering and made the battery wet. All right, I'm not even familiar with that one, but I'm not sure who sticks a flashlight in their mouth or why you would do that. Dan the Wolfman bought an Olight Warrior X just as summer of 2020 riot started. Used it in my 2020 riot defensive gun use stories vid. Vehicle warning is here despite tornadoes. I'm glad you made it. I hope everything is going well. I mentioned we had some pretty significant thunderstorms move through here earlier today. I think they're done, and I don't think we sustained any damage as a result, but definitely made for a light and thunder show earlier. The summer of love. Nate Huxtable, wasn't there a story about a dude who got burned? There's all kinds of stories. That's what gets me. Yeah, there's like rumors and innuendo and story, but when you try to find any hard facts on any of this stuff, it's kind of like I'm going to date myself here. How many of you guys remember in the comic books back in the day where they would have the advertisements to buy a Jeep for $50? And supposedly you mailed in this thing, and there was always somebody that somehow knew how to get the Jeep for $50. But how many of you know somebody who had a Jeep that they got for $50 out of the comic book ad? It's just nonsense. Justin had some storms in Columbus as well. Yeah, I'm not surprised. They probably came up from the southwest, I would think. Blue Rasputa carried a no light for 5 years without issue. Bill 1717, I'm glad you made it too. Nate Huxtable, there's a fun vid. Try to use the new flashlight as a fire starter. You know what? I don't think this thing, I haven't noticed it getting particularly hot. Let's see. Well, if I could quit screwing it up here. I think that's the highest setting. I'm holding my hand over here right now. We'll see how long it takes before it gets hot enough that I can't keep my hand there. So far, it's not setting me on fire. It's not really even all that hot. I don't know. I'm not going to spend the whole show sitting here like this, but I don't know. At least for the, oh, maybe I didn't have it on the highest setting. Now it's on the highest setting. So I can feel it getting a little warm, but not horribly. Certainly not painful. It actually feels kind of good on my hand. I don't know. My hands are perpetually cold. Maybe I should use this periodically to warm up my fingers or something. Yeah. Like I said, I'm not going to sit here during the whole show and do that, but it doesn't seem like it's getting terribly hot to me. Nate Huxtable's got freezing rain and lightning. Well, I feel bad for you. Justin, I figure it's undeniable that you made enough great content that it's undeniable. Wait a second. I figure you've made enough great content that it's undeniable you are speaking in good faith in your videos. Don't care if you get sent a free flashlight. Well, thank you. To review, I don't suspect trickery. Well, thank you. Yeah, I have no reason to. That's the weird thing. Like I said, I get that a lot of the stuff that comes from Optics Planet, I get to keep that stuff, but Optics Planet is a retailer. They're not a manufacturer, so I'm not under any obligation to say anything about that. The products I get from them, if I like them, I like them. If I don't like them, I don't like them. And that's pretty much the way I approach everything. The important thing is to get good information out to all of you. And I think on the part of retailers like Optics Planet, if I give something a negative review and people don't buy that product, then that actually helps them out because they don't have unsatisfied customers or getting a hold of them saying, hey, you sent me this thing, it's a piece of junk. With the manufacturers that I work with, a lot of them appreciate the feedback because they help to use that to improve their products in the future, which is one of the things I really like. I've mentioned that in live streams before. So I don't know. I just don't get it. It's just one of those things. You know, some people are just perpetual malcontents and they like to express that in comment sections. And I don't know. That's just what you have to deal with, or one of the things you deal with a channel like mine, I guess. Perry County Whitetails just put an O-Sight S on his Masada, IWI Masada. I had two light strikes with the first match. Really? Uh, I would think that's probably ammunition. I've had my Osite S on my Masada Slim for months, and I've never had any issues with it at all. So that really surprises me to hear that. Do you have any kind of issues? I strongly suspect that's ammunition related. Can I ask what kind of ammunition you were using? And on my Surefire stiletto burned a hole in my butt pack. Hopefully it was just the pack and nothing else. Nathan Huxtable, something comforting about my old 3D 3D cell flashlight. Maglite, I guess. Vehicle warning, got a tornado siren. Well, take cover, and I hope it's a false alarm. Anon, I've been loving the barrel length and velocity videos. You clearly have the same taste. Oops, just took a jump there. Same taste in guns. Thank you. I enjoy doing those. I'm trying not to do them too close together because I'm afraid that content is going to get stale. I don't want people to get bored of seeing it and think, oh, geez, here's another one of these. So I've tried to space them out some, but they're fun to do. Yeah, I always like learning something when I go to the range. The range is like my classroom or my laboratory. I don't go out there just to crank off rounds and hear the sound of the report from whatever I'm shooting. I like to shoot with a purpose so that I come back knowing something that I didn't know when I went there in the first place. And I hope that comes through in the videos. Nate Huxtable, what did you have for a light in the Marines? Right angle light or a mag light or something else? Yeah, when I was in the Marine Corps, you actually see one hanging right back here. One of the old 90-degree D-cell lights, which we thought were pretty cool back in the day. You could hang that on your web gear and have that flashlight, but that was pretty much it. Those high-tech thing about those were that you have the little red and what are they? There's a clear, a red, and a blue filter in there, I think. I know there's a red one. There's a couple of other ones too. I think the other one might be blue. Mr. Furley, I like it when you review budget-friendly items. Not everyone can afford Surefire or Streamlight. Well, I know. And some of this stuff is just the prices that we see on some of these whether it's an optic or a flashlight or weapon mounted light or firearms themselves is just insane. And it drives me kind of crazy. So when I come across some of the more budget priced or maybe I should say value priced items out there, I like to get that information out to all of you because, if you can save a few bucks, who doesn't want to do that? Thomas Potoff is here from Detroit. Good evening to you, sir. Marv Turner, Optics Planet, has dropped the ball, and several orders I made have just stopped bothering to look for their stuff. That's too bad. They have a customer service number, so if you have problems, you can always call up their customer service and try to find out what's going on. I know there have been times where they take the order, but whatever the item is ships from the manufacturer. So sometimes that creates some kind of an issue depending on how much inventory the manufacturer has at one time or another. But definitely call that customer service number if you have problems, and they should be able to help you out. Emil Swed, hey, thanks for joining. I just watched one or two of your videos the other day. I'm trying to think what it was. Something you reviewed. What was that? I am drawing a blank. I just watched one or two of your videos, and now I can't remember what they were. But I do watch them. Mike Burchard, Semper Fi to you. Thanks for joining from Tennessee. And I'm scrolling down through the comments because some of you guys are talking to each other, which is fine. Perry County Whitetails, Blazer Brass 124 grain. I would not expect that to cause light or to experience light primer strikes. So I'm kind of at a loss there. Justin, I still occasionally use Army issued L-shaped flashlight. Heavy, I think that's supposed to be heavy but handy. Somebody, and I can't remember who it was making a rechargeable L-shaped light that I think was an LED, which would be kind of cool. And I'm not, maybe it was Olight. I'm gonna have to look through their inventory and see if they make something like that. Anon, I enjoy your style, enjoy your content, and like the style of going to range and then showing data for the round. Thank you. Clear, diffuse, red, and blue. I knew it was something like that. It's been a while since I unscrewed the tail cap to find out what those were. Marv Turner, if I ordered something and say to be in stock, not willing to wait 60 days for, I understand. I get that. But like I said, give their customer service a call. I've had to do that myself from time to time. Oops, didn't mean to do that. Let me check the email here, make sure nobody has sent a message wanting to join the show. Dan Theodore did. And hold on a second, Dan. I will get you a link here. It's going to take just a second to get this link to Dan. All right, Dan, you got a link on the way. And I think you've joined before, so that'll walk you through the process to come on as a guest. John G, can't stay for the end, meeting a Such for dinner and cigars. Well, you have a great time. And be sure to tell Such I said hi. Anon, I was in the Army, retired in 91. Thank you for your service, sir. We gave the angle headlights to the new lieutenants so we didn't lose them in the field. Yankinator mounted the primary arms GLX 2x prism on my new Mini 14. I really like it. Generous eye relief. Cool. And, you know, I have only recently started using some of the prism optics. You might have seen some of the reviews. I've had two recently. One of them, probably was 2 months ago or so. I produced a review. The other one came from DS Arms, and I produced that one pretty recently. But the prism optics have some benefits. I kind of like them. They're a little different, but kind of cool. J.O. Robertus, Walter P99 Final Edition has shown up as available to buy at my local firearms retailers, DE Guns and Shields. I love my P99 Final Edition. It actually is in my bedroom at the moment. I'm such a fan of the P99 anyway. That was a firearm that was so far ahead of its time, and it makes a lot of sense in so many different ways. And when the final edition was announced, I knew I had to have one. I've got one, and I'm very glad that I do. So if you can get one, I think you're going to be pretty happy with it as well. Jeff Tim, L-Head Modernized Streamlight ProTac 90X for $80. Okay, maybe that's the one I was thinking of. Dan the Wolfman did not get an email. All right. Well, let's try something different here. Not sure why that might be. I've had to go to a different browser to be able to present my live streams. I'm using Firefox right now. And it could be that there's some sort of a weird disconnect there. But I'll try this again and we'll see what happens. Doing it a little bit different way this time. So see if you get this one, Dan. All right. And while we're waiting for Dan, I want to make another announcement this evening. Somebody mentioned either in the last live stream or the one before that, that Guncon was going to be in Cleveland this year. And I did some checking, and sure enough, it's going to be in Cleveland. It's in the old twist drill factory. And if you go to Guncon, or if you do a search on Guncon, you will find the information for this. And I went through the registration process for a media attendee, and it was granted. So that's cool. It was much less arduous than the process for the SHOT Show. And that was one that I talked about back during the SHOT Show. First time I ever went, and I felt like it would have been easier to access a top secret government computer system or infiltrate, I don't know, Fort Knox or something like that than to try to get access to the SHOT Show. But somehow I finally managed to accomplish that. But I'm going to be at Guncon. It's going to be open to the public on June the 28th of this year. So if you're in the area and you can attend, you can buy tickets on the website for guncon.com. I think they're $50 a person. I'm planning on being there virtually all day on the 28th. So and we've talked about this, I don't know how many times, about trying to meet somewhere and have people have a get together and all that. Now, there is going to be a panel of celebrities. I hate to use that word. And this is a lot of like Mr. Guns and Gear is one of them, and all these people with large YouTube channels and things like that are going to have a panel, and they're going to do some sort of a discussion. I'm not in that group. Shocking. I'm going to be like, I'm like the weird uncle that you don't want to be at the main table at Thanksgiving time. You set a card table like way off to the side so he's by himself. That's probably where I'll be. I'll be like off to the side somewhere going, hey guys, here I am. But if you can make it to Cleveland on June the 28th for Guncon, I am planning to be there. So if you see me, by all means, come up, say hi, stop and shoot the breeze for a while. I would love to meet anybody who can make it. I realize that this is going to be difficult for some of you, that depending on where you live and what you got going on and all that. But I am planning on being there. On the 27th, there's going to be some sort of a media event where there's going to be some sort of a live fire component to this. And by the way, when there are also going to be all these sponsors that are companies in the firearms manufacturing business and optics and one thing and another, a little bit like the gathering a couple of weeks ago. So you'll have all of those displays you'll be able to look at as well if you decide to attend. But there's going to be a live fire event, and I don't know where it's going to be. Hopefully I'll be made aware of that in the coming days, but I don't think it's going to be in the middle of downtown Cleveland, because the last I knew, there was no place you could legally shoot in downtown Cleveland. Now, illegally shooting, that probably takes place every day, but to legally shoot, I think they're going to have to go somewhere out of downtown, and I don't know where that's going to be yet. But my understanding is that's going to be a media-only event. Nate Huxtable, I've employed our chief to do a bull product. I'd send it to him, but it's got a full-length guide rod. Oh, no. I wouldn't mind doing a bull armory. It's one of those things that I've just never had one handy that I could use. They don't seem to have gotten one in at House of Pain Armament, which, as a lot of you know, is the FFL that loans me a lot of the firearms for the videos. And I don't know that I've seen another one locally. So, Nate, I might have to take you up on that loan just to be able to do a bull product. Tayo Bilo says, Mr. Funk, just want to say that thank you for your service, first of all. Second, love your videos. You have grown on me, grown to be one of my favorite. God bless you, sir. Well, thank you very much, Tyler. I really appreciate that. Thank you. Known associates from old sci-fi cons. First lag. Glad you made it, Trevor. Thanks for joining. Dan the Wolfman is having technical difficulties and apparently cannot join. Not sure what's going on, Dan. I'm sorry that you can't join. I was looking forward to having you as a guest. Jeff Tim, Stonewall Range. I don't know. I don't know if it's going to be an indoor thing, if they're going to be outdoors. I would think that this would have to be at an outdoor venue, but I really don't know. I've got to wait and see. Ohio Gunrunner, glad to hear you're going to Guncon. See you there. Good. I'm glad you're going to be there. By the way, I had to get special permission for Mimi to go there as well because I thought, I registered as a media, which still cracks me up to register as a media person. But anyway, I registered as a media person. And I had to send an email back saying, hey, can Mimi come too? And yes, so she should be with me. If you see me on the 28th, she will be there as well. So you get to meet her too. Philly cheesesteak. Caught your video on the Smith & Wesson 432 Ultimate Carry and opined about the hypothetical J-frame shortened at the... I remember seeing that comment. I remember seeing that. Could a short J-frame succeed in your opinion? Smith & Wesson actually produced something like that once upon a time. If I remember correctly, it was called the I-frame. This was back in the earlier half of the 21st or earlier half of the 20th century. I don't know the answer to your question, and I don't know the economical feasibility of it. That wasn't the word I was looking for. But Smith & Wesson would have to design, resurrect, whatever, a more compact frame and a more compact cylinder for basically just a couple of cartridges that can already be accommodated in the J-frame. Now, I know what you're saying. They could shave off some weight and make it more compact dimensions and all that. I don't know. That would be one of those things that the people who count the beans and try to figure out cost-benefit analysis and all that would have to determine. Who knows what the future might hold? I don't know. North American Arms is out there, and they've been producing a very short, light, single-action revolver for many, many years. Obviously, what you're proposing would be much bigger than that, and a double action on top of that. I don't know. Yeah, I just don't really have a good answer for you on that. Anon, just out of curiosity, was Smith & Wesson 39 a duty gun? Never for very long. When I was chief of police, once in a while, if the mood would strike me, I would carry that because as chief of police, I could carry whatever I wanted. So I would carry that every once in a while, but not very often. And what I noticed, particularly when I was sitting in the cruiser, the seatbelt started to scuff the right side grip on the Model 39, and I didn't like that, so that really curtailed my carrying it for any kind of duty reasons. Jeff Tim, aka the Terrier in 38 and 32. Yeah, 38 Smith and Wesson. Yeah, I forgot that it was called the Terrier. Anon, I really want a 3H J-frame Centennial. I really want a 3-inch Model 13. Why is that so hard? I would settle for a 3-inch Model 65. I would really like a 3-inch Model 13. They built those for a while and then they just stopped. And for all of the K-frame Magnums that they have reintroduced in recent years, that's one of them that just never comes back around. Yeah, sorry about that, Dan. Hopefully I can catch you the next time around. Nate Huxtable, have you reviewed any of the modern Colt snake revolvers? No, I haven't. I would like to, but I have just not been able to do that yet. Anon, 100%, carried the Wilson Combat Classic 1911 on duty on the right side grip, was just destroyed. Yeah, that seatbelt grinding against the grip is obnoxious. Yeah, if you're carrying a polymer frame, striker fired pistol, who cares? But if you have something you like, that's just annoying that it tears up the grip like that. Craig Bend always wondered how that right side grip. Yeah, you'll see that a lot of times with the older revolvers too, from back in the revolver days. If you have something that was a former police issue, a lot of times the left side grip looks great and the right side grip looks awful. Anon wants a 3-inch Model 13 too. All right, what are we up to here? 42 minutes. So I normally run these for about an hour, and this has been a lot of fun. So if you have any comments you want to get in here in the last 20 minutes, questions, or if you want to join as a guest, hopefully you'll have better luck than Dan did, shoot me an email. Let me make sure I didn't get another one. I don't think I did. No, I have not. Nate Huxtable, good thing I'm left-handed. You have to worry about your right-hand grip. Or I guess it actually be the left side outside grip panel. By the way, just coffee, folks. That's all. Anon, I joke that years of police patrol duty will totally change. Wait a second. Totally change the desire to open carry. You know what? After all those years of carrying a firearm that people can see, I'm kind of just the opposite. I just don't care. People get so wrapped around the axle about something's going to be printing or somebody's going to see it or going to lean over and your coat's going to open or whatever. And I'm kind of just the other way around. Now, I live in an area where firearms are not frowned upon nearly to the degree that they are in some places where some of you live. So that might be part of it as well, but I just don't get that concerned about it. Nate Huxtable, any plans to do more water jug testing? Yes, I want to do that. When we got into the winter months, I didn't want to do that because it's very time consuming out on the range to get everything set up and conduct the tests and get their videos and all that. But if it ever decides to warm up here, I want to do some more of that. I want to test the 32 H&R Magnum defensive loads with the water jug. So that's one I've got. I've got some other ones that I want to do. So yes, as best I know, my local grocery store is still carrying those empty 1-gallon water jugs that I can get for 49 cents a piece. So that makes it pretty easy. The only bad thing about the water jug testing is I have to fill them up with water here at my home because there's no water source at the range. Then I have to transport, however, 20, 25, 30 completely filled 1-gallon water jugs to the range to be able to record those videos, which is a little bit cumbersome. But I do enjoy doing those. I think they're fun. Scott from South Carolina, do you have any dreams or nightmares of being back on the job? Almost every night. I remember talking back before I retired for a long time, as a matter of fact, that when I go to sleep at night, it's a little bit like policing dreamland. And talk to any cop out there, they'll tell you about the cop dreams that you have. Some of them are so mundane. I'll have these dreams where I stop a car for whatever, and I walk up and I talk to the person and give them a warning, and they go down and I wake up later on, I'm like, why did I have that dream? That there was nothing to that. And then I have the other ones where you're fighting with somebody or you're shooting or whatever, or you have the dreams where you're in a shooting situation and your firearm won't work and all those kind of things. So yes, every cop has those dreams, and yes, I still have them all the time. Marv Turner, I will email you if we can make connections one-on-one for your trips to South Carolina. We'll loan you some of my handguns for reviews. Well, thank you, Marv. I appreciate that. I don't have a time right now exactly when I'll be back in South Carolina. I know we're going to be down there over the summer because we have to move my daughter from her current apartment to another apartment. So the only good thing about that, and I hate moving, hate it, hate it, hate it. The only good thing about that is she doesn't own much, so we don't have to move much. The bad thing is she's got to leave her current apartment about a week before she can move into her new apartment. So we got to figure out something to do with all of her stuff during that intervening week. Here in Anand, here in rural Missouri, Ace Hardware store managers open carry. Yeah, we have a lot of people in gun shops here in Ohio that do that same thing. Ice jug tests aren't the same. No, they're not. The test is a little bit more of a dense medium when the water is frozen. Jeff Tim has dreams about people having computer problems. Mike Richard, haven't had a dream in 40 years and happy I don't. I have the did this get logged into evidence? Nate Huxtable, didn't your daughter do the theme song early on? Yes, she did. If you go back to my videos from a few years ago, she did almost all of the music, the piano music you hear in there. I also started using some of my son's guitar music later on. And I got to the point where I felt like the intro was taking time, was adding time to the videos. And one of the things with people who look at videos that they're going to view, they look at the time, and the longer the video, the less likely people are to watch them. And I finally decided one day, and I hated to do this. It's one of those things where you've got to decide between what you like in your video and what you think potential viewers are going to like in your video. And I made the decision to do away with the intro. And a lot of that had to do with Hickok 45. I watch his videos, and he starts out every video, it fades in, it goes Hickok 45 here. And I thought, he's got one of the most successful channels on YouTube with no intro. And I actually started the intro, I don't know how many years ago, probably 10 years ago, because I thought, it seems like to be taken seriously on YouTube, you have to have an intro. So I devised the intro, and I did not have one that was produced by somebody that's really adept with computer animation or anything. If you look at, some of the intros out there are phenomenal. There's, things exploding and things moving around and all this stuff happening. And one of the things I noticed is you'll see all that going on, and then the video starts and it's not really all that great. So I originally started the intro because I thought that it would help me to be taken more seriously as a YouTube content creator. And then I did away with it because I thought, you know what? if I'm not being taken seriously at this point, I'm never going to be. And I think this is just adding time to my video. So a couple of years ago, I started out just doing the hi folks, HR Funk here, and then I dive right into whatever the subject matter is for that video. So that's the history of my intro. But my daughter and son's music I absolutely loved. I would like to still be using it, but it seems like that I've moved on in my video production from that point. Jeff Tim, for stuff small. Wait a second. Small trailer with alarm. Anon grew up in Delaware, Ohio. My son and daughter-in-law lived in Delaware up until just a couple of years ago. It's a nice community. I'd never spent much time there before they moved there, but I really liked it. There was a nice restaurant that we went to downtown there. I'm trying to think what the name of that place was. Also a Mexican restaurant that was a little off the downtown area, but that was good too. But I really liked Delaware. Marv Turner, I dream of weird stuff almost every time I go to sleep. I still dream about being back in the Marine Corps. I had one of those dreams the other night where, but I was back in the Marine Corps at my current age, and in the dream it was weird because there was this young Marine laughing at me for being an old guy and still being a corporal. He's like, you're non-deployable. You're just kind of a freak back in here. This and that. So I don't know. I was being laughed at by a young jarhead in my own dream. Scott from South Carolina, Paul Harrow had a long intro. Yes, he did, and it worked for him. And I've said this before. Paul really set the bar extremely high. He showed everybody how a firearm-related video should be produced, and may he rest in peace. He did a phenomenal job. Thank you, Nate. I'm glad you appreciated that music. Thank you very much. Marv Turner liked my intro. Thank you. Thanks, Marv. Grand Thumb has incredible intro. I haven't watched a Grand Thumb video for so long. I can't remember what his intros look like. Atlantic Firearms has French law enforcement Smith & Wesson 10. Wow, 10/8 for $430. Wow. I'm going to have to look at that. Anon likes to dive right into the content. Also like that you deal with the facts of each sub. Thank you. Buns is a great. Is that the name of it? I cannot remember the name of that. We went there for breakfast. I know it was kind of a diner type of a place, but I remember I really liked it. Dream of being in the Army, and I realized that I retired to tell them to get bent. When I left the Marine Corps, and this is funny, some of you might not. I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't even tell this about myself. But when I left the Marine Corps, I was very disillusioned with that institution. I was ready to get on with my life and, seek a career in law enforcement and all that. It wasn't until years later that I realized the significance and maybe I dare say the honor that I had being a United States Marine, to serve in the forces that defend this country and our way of life, and particularly in the Marine Corps, that institution with such prestige and such a history. When people say that youth is wasted on the young, that is absolutely true. You gain a perspective with age that I wish I had had at 20, 21, or whatever. Had I known then what I knew now, or what I know now, I would have gone into the Marine Corps straight 03, and I would have stayed there until they booted me out. have the utmost respect for retired Marines and people who made the Marine Corps a career and people who made the military a career. Thank you all for your service. Thank you for what you've done for our country and for keeping all of us safe. Buns is a diner in Delaware. Okay, so apparently that's where we went. Zastava has a Model 66 clone that have hit the surplus market. I was not aware of that. My friend has one. Hammer spring can be replaced with a coil spring from 1911, from a 1911 mainspring housing. My friend got one for $400. Cool. Joseph is here. Thank you for joining. Yeah, and I suspect, Anon, there are a lot of us who were in the military back in the day that years later we look back on that time and I think about the people I knew and the things that I got to do. That there are so many things. Yeah, uh, I finally, after probably, wow, probably 30 years, I finally met somebody else that had been to Chejudo Island off the coast of South Korea, and this person had been in the Air Force. Uh, to be the places I've been and see the things that I've seen and experience the things that I've experienced is just wonderful to have that experience. And the only way I got that was through the Marine Corps. And all I can say is thank you. Whatever you're doing when you're young seems normal to you then. Yes. Justin, same experience. Thank you, Anon. And thank you, JL Robertus, for a $10 donation to the channel. Thank you. Thank you very much for the best intro music. Thank you. I appreciate that. I have told my daughter and my son that their music has literally been heard around the world. Yeah, we have people, and I don't know if anyone's in here now, but people from countries around the globe that watch these videos and have heard their music. And I think that's extremely cool. I'm happy for them. Yeah, my son is extremely, extremely talented when it comes to playing the guitar and playing drums. He actually has produced music for other bands or other musical people in the music industry. My daughter, she just amazes me. She can sit down at a piano without sheet music. She can hear something played and she can sit down and mess around it a little for a few minutes and then play what she heard. And not just with the piano, she can just almost pick up anything and mess around with it a little while and start playing it. And she's a major in music industry studies at the University of South Carolina currently, which is the business end of music. It is producing whatever records. I know I dated myself by saying records, but producing commercial music. And she really wants to get into making music for video games or TV commercials or things like that, which I think she would just excel at. But yeah, it just I don't know where they got their musical talent. It was not from me, but I'm so glad they have it, and they're going to be able to make a living doing something other than fighting with every drunk, low life idiot that happens to wander across their path. Tim, new production Garands the CMP is making when they come available. I don't know. I saw the ad for that the other day. These are the 762 Garands. I don't really need one, but they're kind of cool. So I don't know. We'll see. Furnish your mind with beauty. Cool quote. Thank you. I joke that I'm now amazed that they paid me to do what I did. Yeah, I know. Yeah, absolutely. That you actually got paid to do those things and play with guns for money. On Midway USA, I saw Smith & Wesson Model 20 and 357. It's not on the Smith & Wesson website. Interesting. When are we going to see you stretch the legs on the newest Remington 700? I'm doing a little bit of stretching on this Saturday's video. You'll have to tune in for that. Is there going to be another cooking video in the near future? Yeah, I could probably do one here in a few minutes because I need to make supper for Mimi and I. I don't know. We'll see. I try to do those when I'm making something interesting that I think people will like to watch. And I have not decided what I'm going to make tonight. I'm going back and forth between baked pasta and maybe hamburger. So we'll see. HR, you plan to go to Camp Perry this year? I will probably not be able to because it's going to be right in that time frame that I was talking about, having to go to South Carolina and move my daughter. So there's a good chance I won't be there. Scott from South Carolina, have you tested any AR-10s and would like to know how you compare or how it compares to your FAL? The AR-10s that I've shot have been few and far between. My partner had an AR-10 for a while when I was still a SWAT team sniper, and I shot his, but that was a highly accurized version of the AR-10 that hardly compares to something that would be comparable to the FAL. So I guess my answer to your question is no, I haven't shot anything that would be an apples to apples comparison there. That Remington looks sexy. Thank you. All right, gang, we are up to 1 hour, and I don't like to take these beyond an hour too much. If you've got any last minute questions or comments, throw them out, and I will try to answer those quick. We'll probably take this for another maybe 5 minutes, and then I'll start to close it all out. Which is good because my coffee cup is empty. And it looks like we don't have any more questions or comments coming in. Let me check the email one more time. And no, it looks like nobody has sent me an email to try to join the show. Skip Boyer's headed to church. Have a good evening, Skip. Heat is a hell of a movie. You know what? Yeah, and Val Kilmer passed away last night, I guess. He was such a versatile actor. A lot of you know that I'm a movie buff. He was one of those guys that just seemed to be able to play any part really, really well. Going back to Top Gun, he played, what was his name in that? Kazansky? Tim Kazansky, something like that. Of course, Iceman was his call sign. He did such a phenomenal job in that. He played in Willow. He played Bad Mardigan in Willow and did a fabulous job. It was a little more of a comedic role. Of course, he played Doc Holliday in Tombstone. That was just an outstanding performance. He played Jim Morrison. He played, who else? He played in Heat. I don't remember his character's name in Heat. And of course, he reprised his role in Top Gun for Maverick a couple of years ago. And it just seemed like everything he was ever in, he just owned it. And I cannot imagine being an actor of that caliber where just any role that comes along, you can look at it, you can say, yeah, I can do that. There are a lot of actors that there is a certain role that they play. And I've noticed this. Jason Statham has a new movie called The Working Man or something like that. He basically plays the same character in every single movie. They just change the story around a little bit, but encompass that same character. But Val Kilmer was one of these guys that could play anything and do it very, very well. And that's a rare talent And it's too bad that he's gone, and we won't be able to enjoy that anymore. Ted Kaczynski. I was that it? Was it? No, it wasn't Ted Kaczynski. That was the Unabomber. It was Kazansky, but I don't think it was Ted. I don't remember the first name. All right, gang. I am going to start to wrap things up here. It is 5 after, and I have got to start making supper, or else Mimi is not going to be happy with me when she gets home. So, thank you for joining in to the live stream this evening. I appreciate it, and thanks to everyone for all your comments, all your questions. Thanks for 12 and a half years of support on the channel. Whether you join in a live stream, you comment in a premiere video, you post comments to the videos themselves. Thank you, thank you, thank you to everyone. By the way, JC, a special thanks to you. You're going to see that item you sent me in the Saturday's video, so I hope you enjoy that production. To all of my channel members, a special thank you. We're in one of those periods again where it seems like every time I post something, YouTube demonetizes it. And without that contribution all of you make every month, I just would not be able to continue doing what I do. So thank you very much. Also, a special thanks again for the $10 donation this evening, which was from JL Robertus. Thank you very much for that $10 donation. Literally, yeah, everything anyone said, whether you send me a product to review or you make a donation to the channel or you join as a member, I am just so absolutely in your debt. Thank you very much. I have said for a long time, whatever all of you get from the videos that I produce, I get so much more from the interaction with all of you. Thank you so much. And I'm going to wrap it up for this evening, everyone. Have a great evening, a great rest of the week. Hopefully, I'll see a lot of you on Saturday at the premiere chat. And until next time, everyone, good shooting and bye-bye for now.